When the feds raided Bankroll Freddie, that was the beginning of the whole entire RICO for CMG, because at that point it was a full sweep in Memphis. The feds was coming to talk to Yo Gotti, Moneybagg Yo, and Yo Gotti's brothers and cousins, man. Look, watch this whole video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go ahead, drop a like, comment. Let me know if you rocking with Young Dolph. Throw the dolphin emojis down below. Let's get right into it, man. So the whole thing about Key Glock, Daddy-O, and everybody being on the whole separate side is due to the fact that they don't want to get thrown in the mix of Bankroll Freddie's whole RICO, because they not part of his family. They wasn't part of his team doing whatever they was doing. And so that's the first place they looked. They actually accidentally found that when they were really looking for the Bentley from Moneybagg Yo, because they had to realize that they got to connect the dots between the last few places black youngsters been. And since they really didn't get too much of a word from Big Moochie Grape, he didn't want to say nothing. He didn't want to, because he's the one that knew the most. He was with Dolph. Everybody talking about Dolph brother and this and that and Marcus Thornton and everything like that. But you got to remember that Big Moochie Grape was the only one that was actually with Dolph prior to that day. And so that's why when Dolph called Snoop Bands, he called Big Moochie Grape first, because Big Moochie Grape knew where he was going to. He told Big Moochie Grape that he was going to go pick up the money and he was going to go put it up so that they could do the music video and have the briefcase to flex with all the music video. And so that's why he had, when they interviewed Big Moochie Grape, and you guys seen that big interview that we broke down, you just got to binge watch the videos. They asked him how many times did he get a missed call. He said he had almost 70 missed calls. I think he said it was like, an exact number was like 67, which is super weird. But how is it that somebody call you 70 times and you look at the phone and see 70 missed calls and you don't call nobody back? And that person ends up getting sent up and gets hit up and everything. And they was really trying to get a hold of you and contact you because you was the last person they was hanging out with. When they told you, hey, I'm going to be right back. I'm just sliding over here to pick up this bread, get this gas at the gas station. I'm going to be right back. Then Big Moochie Grape should have at least followed, drove behind, or came with, or kept his phone on open, the lines open, because he didn't say that he was using his phone at that time. He didn't have any other phone call that he was on that he missed Dolph for. Like, if anything, he was probably sitting there watching the phone ring, but he thought he was in trouble, because you got to understand that they all want to be like Dolph. They all want to be the big dog. And so when everybody wants to be the big dog and the big shot, nobody listens to nobody else. And anytime somebody big calls you, you thinking that, oh, they trying to get you to do some work or come and run this errand for them. He probably thought that Dolph was trying to get him to go let somebody into the studio or to go pick up somebody, a producer or something like that. And so they didn't want to have to be bossed around and everything. So that's why they stopped answering their phone calls. One thing you got to understand is, like, anytime they all signed to PRE, so they got a boss. Anytime you got a boss and a manager you got to answer to, when they call your phone, 9 times out of 10, they asking you to do something, do some type of work. Hey, did you get this done? Or I need you to hurry up and start on this right now. Drop everything you're doing and come to this spot, that spot. And so the thing is that because they all in the streets and they all want to get it how they live, they don't want to follow the orders from Young Dolph. So they thinking that Young Dolph is calling them, telling them to go run errands or go pick somebody up, when in actual reality, he was pleading to have somebody come and have his back and back him up, because at that point, you know, it was going down. And if Dolph was calling Big Moochie Grape and Snoop Bands, that must mean his brother had not showed up yet. His brother was all the way on Elvis Presley Boulevard. By the time he got to Airways, it was too late. Like, he got to Airways right on time for him to see the two dudes running back to the car. So when he pulled up in his car in the back road, he ran through the back, went through the front, and went right out to that glass door. And the glass door was locked. So he had to tell the people to unrelease the button so that the locking mechanism would let go so he could go outside. By then, the two dudes already jumped into the car, were pulling off and making that right turn. And he tried to spray the window, but he got in trouble because he was spraying out into the open sidewalk, into the open air and everything like that. And so when they said Like they asked two people what happened and everything. When they went up and they see Maurice on the phone walking back and forth, pacing in front of that cookie shop and the laundromat, they knew that that was one of the guys that had seen something. So why is it that he tells them, oh, he's Dolph's brother was that he's like, I'm not the one that sprayed and chased down the car. They said that was him. But how could he know that if he allegedly claims that he wasn't even there until they were ducking and that had already happened? And so that's how you know that he got caught up in his own story. The Makedas Raven story changed multiple times after everything was broken down and looked at, because when the people really opened their eyes and they looked at the facts, they saw what was really going on. That Lincoln, the motor was hot. It was running already. One thing you got to know about the old cars when Maurice pulled up in the Lincoln is that he was already in the Lincoln 20 minutes before the whole incident happens, because it's November. You got to warm up the cars, especially a 1972 Lincoln like that. It takes a while for it to get going. It runs on natural gas, so he's really got to mix it up together and make sure the oil is good and everything like that. Anybody that has an old school car, you got to know that you got to warm it up, especially when it's cold and everything like that. And in Memphis ain't Miami. Memphis ain't the border of Mexico, so it's not gonna get 100 degrees like that. Especially in November, it was probably like 40 degrees, at most. And so by the time you would have seen everybody wearing a coat and everything like that, that's why you had to have known that Dolph had to have been in there during the daytime, because he didn't even have a coat on. He just had the t-shirt. But when you look at everybody else, Maurice had the big winter hat on. So if Maurice is cold, then and it's in the morning, then Dolph might not have came in the morning. He was already there in the afternoon, the day before, when it was already 60 degrees, like hot, where the sun was still up. That's why he was wearing a t-shirt. And that's why a lot of people say that after that footage of him leaving the Marathon gas station, they seen the white Corvette following him. It was a whole nother set of people. They might have had the spare keys to Moneybagg Yo's car, his Corvette. And Moneybagg Yo, he probably didn't know whether somebody took his car or not and was using it to follow young Dolph, because he could have been in Atlanta. He could have been doing a show here or there, because they all made sure to not be around on that day. But it's still, he getting tied up in it because of the fact that he can't have his Bentley and the Corvette be used to follow Dolph without everything coming back with him getting questioned about it, because that's the same thing that happened with the two-door Black Youngster's girlfriend's car. They thought that was the car from the Covington situation, but they backtracked and said that that's not true, because it can't be. It has that dent on it. They know how that dent got there from when Straight Drop and them tried to get Big Newski to come and slide with them to go on the drill, but he didn't want to go. And so that's when he gave Straight Drop the knuckle sandwich and pushed him into the two-door and made that dent on the rear quarter panel of that Benz. And so when they went and got the forensics to look at it and they found the gloves and the masks and everything from Cornelius Smith, they knew that it was the right two-door, but it wasn't the one from Covington. It was the one that came tied back to Black Youngster's girlfriend, the one that they was using the two-door to go do the trips all the way out there with and come back, and basically doing the missions on the interstate with that. And that's how they was able to recognize it, because they needed it. They always use that to go and do something, because it's such a low key, like you would think that it was rich people riding in it, but then behind the tent, it could be anybody. And so that's why they really looking closely at a lot of the people, including Moneybagg Yo, Black Youngster, Yo Gotti, Daddy Yo, Key Glock, Big Moochie Grape, because of the fact that everything is all interconnected between the CMG and PRE beef, or it comes back to Young Dolph, or it comes back to the fact that the cookie shop had the music video, the issues with Trula Mafia and Key Glock and Fabo Gold. Grove Hero even said that he knew that Big Jook was the one that did it with Govan. Like, they know Govan was the mastermind of everything. And so Govan is going to be the one that tells who exactly paid him. And when he mentions, they already questioned Big Jook. So if they knew they was about to get Govan, then all they had to do is tell Big Jook to say that he's not the one. They're gonna tell Big Jook to say he got the bread from Yo Gotti. And then Govan's gonna say that Yo Gotti and Big Jook gave him the bread. He's gonna be like, yeah, Big Jook gave me the bread, but he said that he got it from Yo Gotti. And they could even go up to him and ask where Yo Gotti got the bread from and go up to Jay-Z and anybody else, because that's what they had to do. Is anybody that knows, you have to follow the money to figure out where the hit came from and all that. And so everything alleged entertainment purposes, but at the end of the day, you know that Grove Hero already said that they put the bread on Dolph's head. And so that's the updates coming out. There's a lot more because there's a recent interview from every single person in the situation that I'm about to break down. So make sure you stay tuned, subscribe. I'll catch you later. Peace.